I think that you have to, starting a couple years into your career, really start to take ownership over what your goals are, and really take ownership over the things that you think are the most important drivers in your long-term satisfaction. There's also plenty of people who devote their entire lives to sort of trying to make it all the way to partnership, sort of cap out at senior associate level, and then just start thinking then, okay, well, what am I going to do with my life now? Am I going to lateral? Am I going to do in-house? I think from the earliest stage, you have a responsibility to yourself, not just to sort of think proactively about what the path looks like for continued success in private practice, but the kind of things that interest you, the kind of subject matter you're interested in, the kind of things that you like the most about your job, and finding ways either in private practice or exploring alternatives that could exist outside of private practice that are going to sort of put you not just to your highest and best use, but the one that you're going to get the most satisfaction from. I think a lot of people who are in private practice who are sort of unhappy are so focused on just surviving day to day that you don't necessarily put the thought into what else might be out there, because what else is out there can find you. I mean, sometimes a recruiter picks up a phone and gives you a call, and that's great. But if you don't already know sort of the things that you want, if you aren't proactively reaching out to learn more about what kind of opportunities are out there, you're just not going to have the tools that you need to make an informed decision about whether you want to be in private practice long term, or if you want to explore other alternatives that could scratch the best itches for you, but in a different way. And look, you're going to change just as a human being in the time that you're in private practice. The things that I wanted when I was in my 20s starting private practice were very different than the things that I wanted by the time that I was married and had young kids. I was really I even the things in my career that have sort of found me, I've always been really pleased at the ways that they lined up to things that I was already thinking about and exploring. I was connected with my prior employer, the litigation funder, via a recruiter. But one of the reasons I was actually well positioned to sort of take that call when it came was that I already knew litigation funding was something I was interested in. I knew a lot of people who'd been working in the industry. It's something that I had been researching and considering for a lot of years before somebody reached out to me with that opportunity. On one hand, you could sort of say that it fell on my lap, but the only reason that I was in a position to sort of take what fell into my lap is because I had already identified this as a market that I was interested in, one I had done a lot of research about, and one where I had already started nurturing the connections that I had to people in that space. Your career is not something that happens to you. Or at least the career you want is not something that just happens to you. It requires you to understand your wants and your needs and the things that you're good at and the places where you can grow. It requires you to sort of get out of your shell, out of your, out from behind your desk and meet people who are doing things that are interesting, talking to people who have transitioned into new roles to, hear how they're going and what they like about them, what they don't. You're only going to get career satisfaction if you are continuously shooting at targets that you set for yourself. If you're just reacting to things as they happen to you, it doesn't mean you can't have a good career that way, but it's not going to be the best career you could have.